Video I'm going to be showing you how to make this exact visualizer inside of Blender using a free add-on and the Blender GeometryNodes system. Before we start, if you don't want to deal with any of the GeometryNodes system in this tutorial, you can go to my Gumroad where there will be a pack for 10 different visualizers inside of Blender. To start the tutorial, go to the first link in the description. This will open up a GitHub page, click on the code and download the zip. Once that's downloaded, go back to Blender, go to Edit, Preferences, go to Install, go down to your downloads, click on the visualizer master zip, click Install add-on, check the checkbox, and then hit Save Preferences. With the add-on installed, hit A, delete everything. In the scene properties, we're going to go to visualizer, we're going to find our audio, hit Add Audio to VSC, set the bar count to 40, bar width to 0.5, amplitude to 0.1, and spacing to 1. Now hit Regenerate Visualizer. This will take a minute. Go into Top View and hit play on your timeline. Now we can see that we start to have some movement. We're going to make it better in GeometryNodes. Head over to the tab, add a new collection into the scene collection. We're going to name this data. We're going to move all of our bars into this data collection. Select the collection to make sure we don't put anything in the data. In fact, we're going to uncheck it. We're now going to add a plane. Hit New. Doesn't matter what geometry, by the way. Delete the input geometry. And then we're going to drag in the data collection. Put the collection info into the geometry. Now we can see we get the same result. We're going to use a transform node. And then we're going to crank up the Y height to, I don't know, 100. Now we can see we've actually got some bars happening. And now what we can do is we can use a Realize Instances node to make it a uniform mesh. Now I can see it's a single object. To make it into a singular line, however, we need to use a Merge by Distance node and set the distance to 0.99. Now we can see we've got a singular bar. However, this is kind of boring. So let's use an Extrude node to get a bit of depth to it. Set it from faces to edges. Set the offset scale to 0. We're going to do this because we want to set the position without the X location being affected. So now we're going to use a set position. We're going to set a position to a position. This takes our current position and basically inputs it in here. However, we want to only have the X coordinates. So we're going to use a vector math node. We're going to set the X coordinate, see X, Y, Z. We're going to set the X coordinate to 1. And then we're going to also only use it for the top selection. We're now going to change the vector mode from add to multiply. And there we go. If you want to make this more smooth, we can add a subdivision surface. And if you want to keep the corners on the end, we simply go down to Advanced, click on Boundary, Keep Corners. Make sure to reselect your geometry nodes, otherwise you won't be able to edit it here. Let's change the rendered mode to rendered. We're going to add a texture to it now, so hit on New for the texture properties. Material properties, sorry. Add a new material, we'll name it Glow. Now we're going to assign this using a material node. Scrolling down now, we can change the emission color to whatever we want. Change the emission strength to, I like 50, but you can change it to whatever you want. Now, it kind of looks bad, right? That's because we need to optimize our render settings. So let's set our background to black. So we're going to go color, black. Well, let's go back into layout because we don't need geometry nodes anymore. We're going to go to our render engine. We're going to make sure it's Eevee and we're going to enable bloom. Let's change down the intensity to something more reasonable. And we'll change the radius down a little bit too. Really just adjust these to taste. And there we go. That's pretty much everything. Now in addition, if we want to add a bit more of a bottom to it, we can simply change it from a multiply to a multiply add. And simply decrease the bottom X value.